Hey everyone, it's Jason. We have another unboxing for Marvel Champions. Another hero pack. We have a Nebula to add to our growing cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's pop her open and take a look what we got. So of course we're going to have our little rule sheet, which will have a poster of the box cover on there. Talk about Nebula there. It's going to mention some different new keywords. So piercing, so attack with the piercing keyword, discards any tough statuses before dealing damage. Stalwart, characters with stalwart keyword cannot be stunned or confused, which I believe that's a fairly new one. And then team up, which you've seen a couple other times. Just says the team up keyword names two characters. To include the card in your deck, your chosen identity must match one of the characters. Additional card with the team up keyword cannot be played unless both the named characters, hero or ally, are in play. So this one would be for Nebula and Gamora. So you either have to be playing as Nebula or Gamora. And then you have to have either another player playing the other character, or you or another player have to have that ally out. So there's a couple different ways to do it. Nebula will have a Justice deck, which seems very, very interesting, because you think Nebula kind of being like a bad guy, and then it kind of makes sense at the same time, because if nothing else, what's she going to be out for? She's not being an evil character. She's probably out for justice for the wrongs that have been done to her, or maybe correcting wrongs done to her because of her or her father, like trying to like repair her past. So here we have the hero version. She's got the Guardian keyword. So she's got 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense. Pretty solid stats. 5 hand size, 9 hit points, a little lower on the hit points. Combat protocols. Force response. After your turn begins, resolve the special ability on each technique upgrade you control. Then discard each technique upgrade resolved this way. So that's kind of an interesting thing. We'll have to see how that exactly is going to work when we start going through our cards. But yeah, so it's saying every technique you have out that has a special ability, you'll immediately have to do, and then you discard them. So it's kind of like you play them and then they go away. And then if we go to our Alter Ego, 3 recovery, she's just an outlaw, which I think most of the Guardians are the same way. Cybernetic upgrade, response. After you play a technique upgrade, draw 2 cards. So this is a good way. So basically it sounds like she's going to play a bunch of techniques, because you're going to get to play them, draw more cards, so you can play more things. And flip her over, and then she can activate them all in one swift turn, is what it seems like is going to happen. And that gives her a hand size of 6. Her ally, or signature ally in here, is Gamora. 2 thwart, 2 attack. Response. After you play Gamora, choose a technique, upgrade you control, then resolve its special ability. Thanos trained us both for the same purpose. So it's kind of interesting, though. Hers really reflects on what Nebula's ability is. Instead of, like, lots of times, the signature ally, if they have a hero version, will more reflect that character's ability. So it's kind of a little bit different. We got 1 copy of Nebula Ship, which is a vehicle. Support card. Resource. Exhaust Nebula Ship. Generate a wild resource. I liked it better when I was the one targeting your ship. I'm going to get that to focus a little bit better. Alright, then we're going to get 2 copies of Cutthroat Ambitions. This is one of the upgrades with technique. So it says, when Nebula is in hero form, her attacks gain piercing and overkill. So she removes defense, and if she defeats something, it goes on to the villain. And then the special, so she gets to do something, we can show us that the special for it would be remove 3 threat, from the Steam. So it kind of seems like it sort of works like Black Panther's, where you have, except for his, you have to play a special card to activate them all. Hers, you just flip her to hero mode. But then the difference is Black Panther's is when you use his special thing, you just play a card and you get to use them all, or any ones you have out, but you get to keep all those cards in play, where hers, you use them all up. So you kind of got to plan a little bit ahead with her. So she's got one copy of Evasive Maneuvering. You can upgrade with a technique. While in hero form, Nebula ignores the guard keyword, the patrol keyword, and the crisis icons. These techniques are pretty powerful on their own. Just if you want to flip over to attacks, you're going to have to use them up. So they're kind of get like one-time use out of them. Special, choose an enemy, either stun or confuse that enemy. But they all only cost one, so it kind of makes sense. They're really cheap. So she's got one copy of Unyielding Persistence. While in hero form, Nebula gets one thwart, one attack, and gains Stalwart. Special, give Nebula a tough status card. She's got two copies of Weapons Master. When in hero form, Nebula gains Retaliate 1. Special, deal 4 damage to an enemy. And two copies of Wide Stance. Technique upgrade. When Nebula is in hero form, reduce the amount of damage she takes from each enemy attacked by 1. Special, with the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, discard 1, put them back in any order. Yes, there's a bunch of different excuse me. A bunch of different upgrade techniques there. They're all really cheap. They're all one cost each. But once you play them all, you're going to gain a bunch of cool effects. I mean, they're actually pretty powerful effects for how cheap they are. But at the beginning of your turn, you have to resolve the special abilities, so you get an extra bonus effect from all of them. And then you have to discard all of them. So, like, the best way to do is gather them all in your hand while you're in alter ego form. So you play it, draw 2 cards, get some more, then flip it over, and you get try and do like one massive big action, because you have extra thwart, extra attack, pierce, things like that, or you get to ignore different card effects, and you get to jump in, do one big effect, because you have to get rid of everything. Or you can just play one, flip them over, do the effect, play one, flip one over, get the effect. It might just depend on what you have in your hand, too. Because she also has some event cards. So 2 copies of Combat Ready. So Alter Ego action. Skill. Choose 1. Shuffle up the 2 technique upgrades from your discard pile into your deck, which that's really good so your deck doesn't run out. Or discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard a technique upgrade. Put that upgrade into play, then resolve its special ability. So that's actually pretty good too. You can kind of stack your deck a bit. But I like the fact is you play a technique, you draw 2 cards, and then you can play this to shuffle 2 of them back into your deck, so you can keep your deck from running out quicker. She's got 3 copies of Lethal Intent. Hero action. Choose up to X technique upgrades you control. Resolve each of their special abilities in the order of your choice. Yeah, so she's kind of like she drops the cards, flip to hero form, do a bunch of stuff, and then your next turn you're gonna have to get extra bonuses out of them, but you're gonna lose them all. So she kind of like jumps in, hits once, and then backs out. So those are her specific deck cards. Let's look at her Justice cards. So she's gonna get some allies here. This is actually unique because typically, usually each aspect only has one ally unless it's leadership. Leadership's the only one that gets multiple allies because that's how leadership works. But she actually gets a couple, which is really cool. She said Eros, who is also known as Silver Fox. Is that right? Star Fox. Star Fox? I might be wrong. But this is Thanos' brother. So, quote-unquote, Nebula's uncle. So 2 thwart, 1 attack. He's also a Guardian. Response. After you play Eros from your hand, confuse a minion for each Genius resource you use to pay for him, so you could confuse up to 2 people. She's got Wrath, or Wraith, Zach Dell. There's 1 thwart and 3 attack, but he has 2 damage for that one. Hero Interrupt. When a boost card is turned face up, exhaust Wraith and deal 1 damage to him. Cancel that boost effect. Oh, that's nice. It doesn't sound like... I wonder if that's optional or not. It must be, because it's not forced. But yeah, that could definitely be helpful. But he's only going to do that once and then attack once, so he's not going to stick around very long. And then finally, we have another Guardian. We have Venom / Thompson, who's also a playable hero. So it says 2 thwart and 3 attack, but he takes 2 damage for each one. While there's no threat on the main scheme, reduce all consequential damage Venom takes by 1. So if there's no threat on the main scheme, then his things only do 1 damage each, which is really cool. So yeah, she's got 3 different ones. Her next card, we have 3 copies of Justice Served. Which are this version of the Guardians here, bringing in Gamora. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Hero responds. After you thwart and remove the last threat from a scheme, discard Justice Served, ready your hero. So it just sits there, and the last time you remove a threat from any scheme, you get it ready and go again. And then we have One Way or Another. It's got 3 copies of that. This costs 0, max 1 per round. Hero action. Search the encounter deck for a side scheme. Reveal that side scheme to draw 3 cards. So inviting some bad stuff to happen. But you get to draw 3 extra cards. Plus, or also, if you just search for a particular one, rather than it saying reveal cards from the top of the deck until you find one, you actually just search for one. So you can pick one that you're like, okay, I know I can deal with this threat, play it out, and then you can just automatically, I got 3 cards, I can go, I can take care of it. She's got a special resource card called Determination. Max 1 per deck. Hero response. After you spend this card, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. Yeah, so basically you spend it to gain 1 wild energy, and you get to remove 1 threat. Nothing wrong with that. And she got 2 copies of Power of Justice, which let her double for paying for yellow Justice cards. 3 copies of Brains over Brawn. And with any of these decks, if they have 3 copies, it generally means it's a brand new card. If it's been in other decks before, they usually only give you 1 or 2 copies. So this is an event that says Hero Response Attack. After your hero makes a basic thwart, deal damage to the enemy equal to your hero's thwart. So it's kind of cool. So you can make a basic thwart action, and then you get to deal damage based on her thwart, which hers are all 2, but you could boost it up with some different stuff, including this card. 2 copies of Heroic Intuition. Playing during your player's control gets +1 thwart. So those are the Justice cards. Now let's get our basic. We're going to get Cosmo, which another one of the Guardians has it. I want to say Star-Lord, but I might be wrong on that. 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 health. Interrupt. When excuse me again. When Cosmo attacks or thwarts, name a card type, then discard the top card of a deck. If that card is of the name type, Cosmo does not take consequential damage. The damage under thwart or attack for this use. So that's kind of cool, because you can basically infinitely attack or thwart as long as you can keep guessing what card it is. It's probably random, although if like you're playing Nebula, a lot of her cards, like most of the cards in her main deck, are upgrade cards, and then we have 2 more upgrade cards there. And then yeah, some more upgrade cards there in the Justice Served. So, and then allies. So, I mean, like, half her deck is either upgrades, a couple events, so you have a good probably a good, 70% chance of saying one of those two and being correct. And you could definitely remake your deck and get it more that direction. Here we have Nowhere, a location support card. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. Increase your ally limit by 1. So that works really well with this deck, which has 3 allies. Response: after a player plays a Guardian ally, exhaust Nowhere, that player draws a card. Alright, and then we have 2 copies of the Daughter of Thanos. This is a team-up card. So it's Gamora and Nebula, max 1 per deck. Hero action, draw 3. So, I'm not entirely sure. Am I supposed to have 2 copies of that? No, I'm actually, at least according to the deck list, I'm only supposed to have 1 copy. So when I went through this earlier, as I was just looking at it quick before I did this video, the second copy was at the end of my deck. So I'm wondering if the reason why they gave me a second copy was because there wasn't one in Gamora's deck. And then that way, that's why you get 2 copies. So there's one that's supposed to be in her deck normally, and then they have an extra one that comes with this deck, so that way you could give one to Gamora to put in her deck. Because otherwise, every other character, like when Groot and Rocket got one, they each had one. Wasp and Ant-Man each had one. And this is so that way you could put one in your Gamora deck if you wanted to. That if you're playing both characters, you can use it a lot. Each person can use one. Anywho, so it says, heroic action, draw 3 cards. So it only costs 1, and that's for really cheap for 3 cards, but that's just because you have to have both of those characters out. Alright, so we do have 2 copies of First Aid. Heal 2 damage from any character. Pretty simple. Does not hurt to have. We got our general deck cards, Energy, Genius, and Strength. So those are all our basic cards. Now we're going to get into our obligation. So she has Inferiority Complex. Give to the Nebula player. She may flip to Alter Ego form. Choose. Exhaust your Alter Ego. Remove Inferiority Complex from the game. Or choose and discard 2 technique upgrade you control. If no upgrade was discarded this way, this card gains Surge and discard Obligation. So like with most of the obligation cards, it's either flip to your Alter Ego and then waste a turn. Because then your character's exhausted and you can't do anything. Or you can usually discard or do some other effect just to get rid of this card for a momentary effect. And then later you have to deal with it. She's got her personal rival, which is Gamora. So this is just like Gamora's deck where you had Nebula as an ally and Nemesis. This works the opposite way. So she has Elite Outlaw, 2 Scheming, 2 Attack, Force Interrupt. When this minion would enter play, discard the Gamora ally from play. So that way you can't have both of them. Forced Response. After Gamora attacks and damages you, choose and discard an upgrade you control. This you can go right for the cards you need. Plus she has 6 health. Oh boy. But it's only if she attacks you. She doesn't do it if you're steaming. So again, you can stay in Alter Ego form, sit there and plot a bunch of stuff and get it up, flip her over, try and take Gamora out in 1 hit. Then we have Self-Preservation Side Scheme. We both gave what we had to in order to survive. Why won't you let it go? Nebula gets -1 thwart, 1 attack, 1 defense. Gamora gets 1 attack and her attacks gain piercing. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not one you want to have sit out terribly long. We got 1 copy of Lethal Weapon. It's an attachment, weapon type. Attached to Gamora, if you cannot attach to a villain, they gain +1 attack and a hero action. Discard an upgrade you control to discard this attachment. Yeah, just 1 attack isn't much. I'm surprised it's so low. But it's nothing to scoff at either. So we got 2 copies of Old Rivals. Treachery. When revealed, Gamora attacks you. If no attack was made this way, this card gains Surge. If the Gamora hero or ally is in play, she resolves her attack against you without exhausting. Oh boy, so that's actually doubly bad, because if this card would come up for some reason, and you have a Gamora hero or ally in play instead of the minion, that one's going to attack you as well. And then we have the stop card, tells you how to do all that stuff. And then the deck list again. Alright, and then finally we have the brand new cards for the other sets, which is always 3 of each. We have the aggression ones, which we have Energy Spear. Attached to a Guardian ally, max 1 per ally. Attached ally gets +2 attack and gains piercing. So like imagine throwing that in Cosmo, where he doesn't take damage, and you gain 3 every time. Or if you throw it on like Wrath, who already has 3 attack, now he has 5 with piercing. You definitely do some major damage with that, just if you mixed it into this deck somehow. We got 3 copies for Leadership, Guardians of the Galaxy, which it's funny that they waited until basically the last Guardian character to do this, because the next couple of characters are not Guardians. So we have Team Support. Play under any player's control, max 1 team per player. Each of your characters has the Guardian trait and gains response. After you play an upgrade on an ally, draw a card. So that works great with like her, Rocket, Star-Lord has a bunch of upgrades. But yeah, that's definitely neat that you can actually make anyone, if you're playing Leadership, you can make anyone a Guardian, and then you can give them some of these other boosts. Did I mess this up? Nope. It looks like I only got 2 copies of defensive training, so either I'm missing a copy or it only comes with... Oh, it's 2 because it says max 2 per deck. Uses 2 training counters. Alter Ego Action. Exhaust this card and remove 1 training counter from it to choose Choose a protection green event in your discard pile and shuffle it into your deck. So you gotta do that twice and get some of your cards back. And then the final one, you have 3 copies of the basic one. So this is Honorary Guardian. It's a title. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. Attached to a friendly character, max 1 per character. Attached character has +1 hit point and gains the Guardian trait. So that's definitely cool too. Just make that way you can slot in any other hero, especially being that it's a basic. You can slot it into any color and make extra characters Guardians. One interesting thing to also point out about these. So the basic one here has the Guardians of the Galaxy, the original team from 3000, with Yondu, Starhawk, Martin X, Charlie 27, and Nikki. The protection one has the Asgardians of the Galaxy, which is Angela, Executioner, Valkyrie, Thunderstrike, and Loki. I believe it was Loki running the Destroyer armor, and somewhere's Throg, he's just not in the picture. And then, of course, the regular Guardians has the mainstay Guardian team, like one of the newer ones, with Norvar, Moondragon, Star-Lord, Rocket, Nova, and Falavel. Superhero name I can't remember. So that's kind of neat. They show off the three of the different teams of the Guardians. Yeah, so Nebula seems pretty interesting with the see how that plays, where it seems like you kind of build up, do big giant attack or strike, then kind of back off and build up. It seems really assassin-y of her, which makes sense for her type of character, her thought. Another thing I was just noticing, like, going through all her cards. So this one costs X. So lets you choose how many techniques you want to do. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. But otherwise, it's at 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Other than her 2 unique cards, 2s and 3s, all her stuff costs 1 one or less potentially, even when you jump into a bunch of her other cards. So her Guardian cards, or Justice cards, are all a bunch of 2s, 0s, 0s, 1s, 1s, except for her allies, which actually cost a bunch. Basic cards don't cost much either. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. You know, and even then the ones you can get afterwards are all 0s, 1s, and 2s. So her deck doesn't cost much to play, which is actually kind of interesting. So yeah, you can play a bunch of her stuff, and she's fairly cheap to play, which makes sense, and you can play a bunch of cards really quick. Definitely be fun to team her up with Gamora, and see what they can kind of tag team, because Gamora, if I remember, was a lot more upfront combat oriented, so it'd be interesting to have like Gamora on the front lines taking stuff out, and then Nebula sitting in the back kind of like waiting and setting traps essentially, and then when Gamora needs to take a break because she needs to heal, Nebula can swing out, do some powerful big attacks for that turn, and then Gamora's healed up, she can jump back out, you know, and then kind of an interesting tag team between the two. Alright, so that was our Marvel Champions Nebula. Got a couple other characters announced so far. They have the Hood pack, scenario pack coming out, so I know a ton of new scenarios and enemies and minions to fight. Vision, War Machine, I think War Machine's next, and then it's Vision. So they're adding more Avengers are coming back out. Then there's also the Mad Titan box set, which will add another Avenger with Spectrum, or also known as, she was Captain Marvel or Photon. She was Monica from WandaVision. People would know her that way. And he also has Adam Warlock, so there's another Guardian. So we're going to get her, I think that's our final Guardian for a while. And then after all those come out, the next big box set coming out after the Mad Titans is Sinister Ambitions, which is a Spider-Man themed set, which has Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider, and Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man. And we'll see what they do there, because I wonder if they're going to start a new team for them, and they're going to have like the Spider team. Because neither of them were really Avengers. They might link them into Champions, possibly. But I wonder if they're going to start a new thing. It's kind of cool that they're doing the Spider-Man one. I was kind of hoping they were going to maybe get into some of the X-Men or Mutant stuff, since they had the X-Factor cards with Quicksilver. But yeah, stick with Spider-Man first, because it's what's popular right now. And they're probably going to say X-Men and Fantastic Four until the movies come out. Alright, so catch you guys in the next video. Bye.